Highlander, The Immortal Legacy of the MacLeods by Andries. Below. Episode 1. Like Father, Like Son. The flames danced in the fireplace as Duncan MacLeod sat alone in his study, his weathered hands tracing the ancient patterns on his katana. The knock at the door was expected. He had felt the presence of another immortal approaching.
"Come in, old friend,"
Duncan called out, his voice carrying the weight of his 70 years. Methos entered, his face grave despite his youthful appearance.
"Duncan, it's about Jacob."
Duncan's heart seized.
"What happened?"
"There was an accident on Ridge Road. His car went off the embankment."
Methos paused, a slight smile playing at his lips.
"But like his father, he has a hard time staying dead."
Duncan closed his eyes, memories flooding back. His own first death, the confusion, the fear.
"Where is he?"
"Outside, confused, scared, but alive."
The door creaked open, and Jacob stepped in, his clothes still bearing the evidence of the crash. Duncan rose, embracing his son tightly.
"Dad, what's happening to me?"
Jacob's voice trembled. Duncan gestured to the chairs by the fire.
"Sit down, son. There's something I need to tell you about your birth, about who you are, who I am."
As they settled, Duncan began his tale.
In 2014, I faced something called the Source. It was during humanity's darkest hour, when the world was falling into chaos. I made a choice that changed everything. I chose love over immortality. It made me mortal, but it also gave me something no immortal had ever had before, the ability to have a child. You were born in 2015, a miracle I never thought possible in my 400 years of life.
400 years?
Jacob whispered.
I was born in the Highlands of Scotland in 1592. I died my first death in 1622, defending my clan. Like you today, I rose again.
Duncan leaned forward.
But my situation is different now. The Source changed me. I'm mortal, stronger than most men my age, but mortal nonetheless. You, however, have inherited something unique. The power of immortality combined with the legacy of the Source.
The car crash. I remember the impact, the darkness, and then...
And then you came back.
Duncan finished.
But with this gift comes great responsibility and danger. There are others like us, some who would take your head to gain your power. I may be mortal now, but I can still teach you what you need to know to survive.
Duncan stood, lifting his katana.
We start training tonight. Every moment counts now, Jacob. You need to learn centuries of survival in as little time as possible.
Jacob rose, his eyes reflecting the firelight with newfound determination.
I'm ready, Dad.
Methos watched from the shadows, a knowing look in his ancient eyes. The legacy of the MacLeods would continue, but in a way none of them could have foreseen. As Duncan led his son out to begin his training, he caught Methos's eye. They both knew that somewhere out there, others would have felt Jacob's awakening to immortality. The race to prepare him had begun. Methos settled into a chair, his ancient eyes reflecting centuries of memories.
"So, Jacob,"
he said, breaking the contemplative silence,
"your father wasn't the only one with an interesting immortal origin."
Duncan chuckled, a rare moment of levity crossing his features.
Methos was over 5,000 years old when we first met, the oldest living immortal.
5,000?
Jacob's eyes widened. Methos nodded.
"I've gone by many names. Death, Adam Pearson, but my original name was lost to time long ago. My first teacher was a warrior from a tribe you've never heard of, in a land that no longer exists on any map."
And you, Dad?
Jacob looked to Duncan.
I was fortunate.
Duncan began.
My first mentor was Connor MacLeod, my kinsman from the same Highland clan. He found me after my first death, when my own clan had cast me out as a demon. Connor taught me everything: how to fight, how to survive, the rules of our kind.
Rules?
Jacob leaned forward.
"There's only one rule that truly matters."
Methos interjected.
"There can be only one. In the end, immortals must fight until only a single one remains. The winner takes the power of all those who came before, something called the quickening.
Duncan's expression darkened.
It's not a game, Jacob. It's survival. Each immortal we meet could be a friend or a potential enemy. We can sense each other. That feeling you had moments before an encounter, that electric tension, that's how we know another immortal is near.
Methos leaned back, a sardonic smile playing on his lips.
Connor wasn't Duncan's only teacher. Amanda Dario, a master thief and immortal, taught him quite a bit about survival that had nothing to do with sword fighting.
Amanda,
Jacob asked.
A complicated woman.
Duncan said, a fond memory flickering in his eyes.
She taught me that survival isn't just about fighting. Sometimes it's about cunning, about knowing when to fight and when to walk away.
Your training will be different.
Methos said seriously.
The world has changed, the game has changed, and you carry something unique, the legacy of the Source.
Jacob looked between the two immortals, sensing the weight of millennia of experience in the room. His journey was just beginning, but he was surrounded by more knowledge than most could imagine in a lifetime. Highlander, the immortal legacy of the MacLeod's,